Howdy folks! Welcome to TravyJsSpace here on YouTube. And welcome back to Let's Talk, another episode here at Let's Talk Season 10. In this episode, we are going to be jumping into the topic of Project 2001. Yes, you may have heard about this Project 2001. Project 2001 in some of my episodes. I've kind of touched on it here and there before or after certain episodes. Mainly, I think, on the Nancy Drew mysteries we've done together. There's been a number of times where I've kind of mentioned it, brought it up. But now that I've finally got Let's Talk back in gear here, it's been sitting there in hiatus for quite a long time. I made all the new branding for Season 10 back in January, I think, or December of last year. So it's almost been a year. It's just been sitting there, just kind of being cool. But I think it's kind of important that I have Let's Talk going so that we can kind of take a moment not to focus on a game, but to just focus on chatting about certain things, either within the channel itself, channel updates, which will probably be a frequent occurrence with topics within the episodes. But I thought it'd be kind of cool to kind of expand on this Project 2001 thing I've got going on in my personal life, which may inspire you to start a project similar for yourself. If you're into that sort of thing. I'm gonna set the timer because I always forget. I try to keep things brief, short. You know, I find a lot of people in this day and age have a very short attention span. If they see a video's over 10 minutes and it's just talking, then they usually just say, forget it. Or they get a few minutes in and then, oh, it's too long, forget it. Which is kind of a shame, I feel like, but I gotta learn to talk fast and get it all out. But anyways, yes, Project 2001. I've mentioned it before in the past, like I was saying earlier, but I guess I'll just start from kind of the synopsis of it, the whole meaning behind it for me. Project 2001 is a project I started on paper, which was kind of a plan to simplify my life, to kind of revert back to older technologies that kind of required me to work for certain things. So, for example, you know, in today's modern day and age with smartphones, it's very easy for people to forget that they used to have to work to utilize these things. For example, calculator. You know, you don't have to go looking for a calculator, punch it in, write it down. You know, you could just, all on your phone, click calculator, punch it in, go to, you know, memo pad or notepad and type it in there, or text it to yourself or whatever, right? It just never sat well with me. It was something that just felt out of touch for me. I noticed that it just kind of, in my opinion anyways, I just feel like the smartphone has really kind of destroyed the way we communicate with one another, and just kind of the way we utilize certain necessities around us. It's kind of promoted a sense of laziness, I guess. It's such a negative word. I hate to use it, but I don't know. I just, for myself anyways, anytime I had an iPhone or a smartphone, I noticed that I wasn't in touch with the physical world around me. I was kind of very, very quickly and progressively falling into this digital world and not reconnecting with the outer world, and finding that I needed to constantly be productive and find a sense of validation that I've done something. And subconsciously it would kind of become through the phone, like even just checking all my notifications here and notifications there and then this app and that social media, checking it all through made me feel, good. But I don't know, something didn't sit right with that. I felt like that could still also be accomplished in the outside world. So right away I thought, okay, Project 2001, I gotta get back to basics, because I'm an old soul. I don't know if any of you watching are an old soul as well. If you are, then I guess you can understand that it's very hard to adapt to modernization or kind of the new wave things that so many others kind of just fall into and just accept and go along with and don't think of the repercussions and stuff like that. For me, it's a huge deal. Like I take it very, very seriously for myself, and it can really modify my thinking or promote me to kind of just take shortcuts or not work for things or just get irritated really, or expect things right away, you know. So for me, I have to cut out all of that and force myself to return to a place that is familiar to me. And I know no one else or not too many people out there in the world anymore have a flip phone, but ta-da! This is my smartphone. It's my flip phone, and basically there's no internet on it. It's talk, it's text. I've got pretty cool Nokia ringtones on there, and of course, oh, don't you miss this? I love it. It makes me feel good, you know. It makes me feel like I am living in a time that, at least the most recent time period, that I feel still had a sense of kind of humanity and a sense of natural and honorable productivity and stuff, and just, I don't know, and less distractions too. So yeah, Project 2001 for me, that I was writing all out, is basically, yeah, the guidelines or the pathways to kind of get back. It's more like there's a lot of checklists too, but to get back to that simplicity and to kind of go back to, well, 2001, the last kind of time period, I guess, at least until 2010. I feel like somewhere after 2010, technology started to take a hold on everyone, and it became that kind of new regime of the world and society, and that was just the norm. But I always was like, wait, what's going on here? Whoa, this isn't right. Look what's happening. And no one cares, but I do. So for me anyways, I have to reestablish how I go about my everyday life. So that was the first step, was the flip phone. I just got out of a 2-year contract for my iPhone, which I gotta admit it was horrible. It was just not my cup of tea at all, and it was just way too convenient and easy and simple, and I never had to do anything. I mean, I think one of the biggest things that was hard on me was closing this down for the day, for work, recording, posting on social medias, you know, to promote new episodes and previews and highlights and that. And then to go to bed, wherein I should be resting and relaxing and clearing my mind, I would be right back on my phone checking to see, oh, I forgot to post this for the channel. Oh, you know what? I was going to message so-and-so back. And then I would never relax. I would never go into that place of solitude and serenity and quiet. And, you know, I would never focus on my shows. I wouldn't be paying attention. I'd tell myself I was, but come on, you know, I wasn't. I would sit there and you're not paying attention. So, and that's another thing that I really enjoy and appreciate and have a deep admiration for, are certain television shows. Some of them are really important to me, and they bring me a lot of comfort and joy. And I do have a top 10 favorites list, which I'll share in another episode. I think I have it written down somewhere later on in Let's Talk episodes, but we'll get there. But that's something that's really important to me too, and I found that was another avenue of comfort and entertainment that I really wasn't paying attention to or appreciating anymore, and it just made me feel bad about myself and the way that I was going about my everyday life. So iPhone gone. So that was a check on my Project 2001 to-do list. But it expands further than that. Like for Project 2001, it's kind of taking all of those apps that are so easy to just click and utilize and taking them back out of the phone and reverting back to times that we remember in our youth, or for me in my youth anyways. You know, like, I don't have it out right now, but a calculator. I have a calculator, you know, and in my purse, I've got a notepad, kind of like a Nancy Drew, the Clue Crew will appreciate this, but a Nancy Drew black leather flip notepad, and the pen sits in the side, and if there's something that comes to mind, or I think, oh, I gotta look that up, or, you know, so-and-so said to watch this, I talk too much. But yeah, if someone, just anything, like if I have a date, yeah, right, if I have a date I need to remember, you know, like an appointment or something, I'll write it down. Or, you know, if I'm with someone, they said, oh, you know, mark the date, this day we're gonna do this, I'll write it down there and remember to go back to it and stuff. So it's basically taking like the calendar app, calculator app, notepad app, all of that stuff, and bringing it back out. Address book, your contacts app. For me now, I've gone back to, I actually have a contact, the old fashioned, I don't remember as a kid, but it was like alligator skin type, brownish, gold inlaid phone book, or your own personal contacts, and it have all the letters of contacts as tabs on the end of the sheet. I got one of those in my purse. My purse is becoming very heavy. I'm kind of understanding just how heavy bags and purses were when I was a young kid back in 2001. But I love it. I love it because it feels genuine. It just feels, for me anyways, I notice that it makes me feel, it just makes me feel like I'm back in reality and I'm back connected to the things that matter most. Like I can pay more attention and have more conscious space in my mind to absorb other people, you know, to focus all my time and energy on not only my work here at TravyJsSpace, but also for myself to take time each day to do self-love stuff, you know, like meditation or reading. I love to read, and when I had an iPhone, I'd always forget to read, and one day. And I never did the online, you know, Kobos. I did a Kobo many years ago. It just wasn't the same. Any paper. Old soul. But yeah, I need something physical. So yeah, getting back into reading, that was a very big deal for me. I've been really excited about lately. Yeah, the calculator. I don't have a calendar yet. I would like to get a calendar. I haven't had a calendar in a long time. I've been using the calendar on my phone, but still, that still doesn't sit right with me. Like again, I'm very particular. I'm very, I'm just very specific. You know, I can't. An old soul. How do I put it? Oh, I know. An old soul. Okay, it's like taking a penguin and putting him in South Africa. He's gonna be miserable, you know? He's sweating bullets, he's probably getting dizzy, he's getting frustrated, people are trying to, oh, you're so cute, and you're like, you just want cold, you want to be back on your iceberg, you know, fluttering in the snow, and where you feel normal. And for an old soul, I don't know about other old souls, but I know this old soul right here it's the same thing for me, but with technology. So I need to have that kind of simplification and just natural, kind of like the last step before the world kind of jumped into digital everything, you know, which is kind of crazy because we're living during that time, and it's very hard. It's a very, very difficult, I have a very difficult time adapting. It's interesting to be an old soul living in this time period. Because, you know, when I was born and then raised for the first half of my life, I understood and I was very happy, and everything was just normal. Everything was adaptable and comforting and everything else. And there was just a sense of love and appreciation for the smallest things in life. And then when phones came around, I really started to notice subconsciously, because we all fell into it. I mean, it's nobody's fault. We all just kind of went with the times. But I noticed, for me anyways, when I was jumping into that, it just got progressively worse and worse and worse, and I was always distracted, and I wasn't stopping to smell the roses, so to speak, anymore with, you know, friends or accomplishments or anything in my life. I felt like a part of me was kind of dying off, and so I knew something had to be done about it. So here I am, finally figuring it out. Project 2001. It's really working for me. And, you know, I guess that's what I wanted to say too, is that, you know, it might work for you too. I don't know if you're watching this thinking, you know, oh my God, I feel the same way. Yes, so what do I do? Where do I start? Oh my God, you know, all I have to say is you gotta listen to yourself and your soul and your gut instinct, and you don't need to feel obligated to do what everyone else is doing. You don't have to feel an obligation that, you know, well, if that's the norm out there, then I gotta follow the herd. Not the case at all, you know? Like, even in high school, I never followed trends. I always did my own thing and, you know, express myself my own way. And I think that can be applied to every situation. And if you're an old soul, then it's probably good for you, and it would probably be a big benefit if you applied that to your livelihood as well, the way you go about utilizing different instruments in your life, you know, like if you need a calculator or writing down notes and stuff like that. I definitely encourage it. I think it's not something to be ashamed of or embarrassed about, because it's the only way we can survive or thrive positively, mentally anyways. It's the only way we can be okay. And it's hard because a lot of majority of people are already there, they're in it, that's their way of life. So it is difficult being on the outside again, looking in. When you were a part of that, now you're coming out of it and you're like, whoa. It gets very lonely. There are moments of depression when you first started, moments of agitation and just anger that you don't really understand where it's coming from. And, you know, it's like a big realization. It's an aha moment. It's like, oh my gosh, now that I'm outside looking out, it's like, you know, you got to realize you can't have the same expectations of others. It's for yourself, you know. And if you're an old soul out there that needs that, I just want to warn you that it's not all fun and games. I guess it's not all simple cut, you know. It's not a cut clean kind of project to take on, or transitional rejuvenational process for yourself and your soul. It's very difficult, and there's so many elements and aspects to it that it's like quitting cigarettes, to be honest. When it comes to the mental and the withdrawals and that, it's very much the same, in the sense that, you know, the agitation, the confusion, the misinterpretations, the not connecting with people like you used to, not being on the same level as people anymore. It's a hard adjustment. There's a lot of acceptance that has to be done. There's a lot of self-reflection that has to be done. You almost have to retrain your brain as well. It's more than just, oh yeah, I got my flip phone now, bye iPhone, don't need ya, now I feel so much better. Yeah, you'll feel better to an extent, but you have to do the other work too, in your heart and in your mind and in your consciousness. You know, you need to really adapt and to reestablish how you identify that way, and not let other people discourage you. You know, it's very hard, especially with people that you love, if you notice that there's a huge disconnect because of this technology or the way that they go about their stuff with smartphones and all that, and living in the digital world. That's mainly the big part. You're cutting out that whole digital world, and when all your friends and family live in that digital world and kind of rely on that heavily, and you're not a part of that anymore, there's a huge separation from like how you can help or how you can communicate or how you can get your voice to be heard. It's so much different, and it can be very discouraging. You know, I'm talking from experience when I say all this, because I guess I'm just now kind of coping and being able to accept and understand my new position now, and how that's going to be very, very contrasting to a lot of people in my life. So it's difficult, it's hard, but it's worth it. You know, it's so worth it, because I find, for me anyways, the benefits that have kind of came out of this is just, like I was saying earlier, more conscious room to think, to just wonder, to think about others, you know, or to compassionately kind of put your thoughts towards someone that might be hurting, and there's no phone to distract you from that. There's no, I mean, if anything, it got so bad, you could just pick up the phone and give them a call, you know, which is another thing that a lot of people don't usually do too much anymore. So it's well worth it, I guess. To summarize the entire idea of Project 2001, it's a mindset. It's not just, you know, goodbye iPhone, goodbye Apple Music, goodbye calculator app, goodbye memo app, goodbye address book, blah, 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 and then reverting back to old ways physically and into technological sense. It's also a huge transitional kind of cleansing and rehabilitation of the mind and your perception, how you're seeing things and how you see yourself and how you see others. It's huge. It's a huge thing. And it's felt like a long project, you know, because when I first got the switch to the phone, that's where a lot of the change comes in, I guess. Or you notice there's a lot to deal with up there and in your heart. And that was only like a month ago or so. So it's taken me just about a month and a bit to finally kind of, you know, adapt, understand, this is okay, that's okay. Take your time, you know, and just to kind of get back to the mode of stopping and smelling the roses and appreciating the little things again. And I mean, I was always that way in high school and in elementary school and stuff. And then as I became an adult and got into iPhones and social media and all that, it took something away from me that I just didn't feel was right. You know, that's not fair. I want that back. I want that part of me back, that spark, that individuality, that realism, I guess. I just started to feel like I was in the Twilight Zone. And but yeah, I definitely recommend this for not just other old souls. I mean, I think if you are an old soul and you're watching this, it might definitely help. It would certainly help. Now, I've only really spoken about the phone aspect and some of the apps that you go back to. This extends further too. Now, for me, this additional stuff is all just kind of extra. I want the full circle experience here. I love circles, but I like it to come full circle for me. And just, if I'm going to go in on something, I want to go all the way in. You know, whether it's to be your friend, to be your partner in life partner or whatever, or, you know, to be your business partner. If I'm going to go in, I'm going all in. I'm a dedicated person. I'm very loyal, not just to people, but to projects or to working on myself, whatever it may be. So for me, Project 2001 has extended to other areas, jurisdictions of technology. For example, I got my original Xbox, like the original black Xbox, out of storage, and I have that set up in my room. That's how I play video games. I've been buying old Xbox games again and playing just simple fun games again in my spare time. Again, it's in my room. So if I'm done work for the day, computer's off, I'm done advertising for new episodes or whatever, uploading new episodes, scheduling, I go to my room, I can go play some Sims Busting Out or Halo 1 or, you know, whatever I fancy. But it doesn't expand or extend into newer stuff. I do have an Xbox 360 as well, and I don't think that's too far out of, you know, I don't think it's that modern that it has to be excluded, but I just don't have it set up, but I would utilize that as well. So going backwards in that sense, with video games, what else with Project 2001? Even just music, that's a big, huge element, and I do recommend, this is something I didn't do, and I'm learning I should have done. It would have really helped. So if you're gonna do it, I highly recommend, or you're gonna take on this project in whatever means you're going to do it. I mean, you don't have to do it the same way I did it. There's, you know, you can make so many modifications and adjustments to your own liking, what you think will best help and suit you and your personality and who you are. I found that music, huge part. For me anyways, I love music. I thrive through music. I'm inspired by music. Music transforms me. It helps my mind. It helps me cope with issues, all kinds of stuff. Music's powerful, right? Whether you are a music lover or not, you can't deny that music has a huge transformative property to it. It can really transform your mind and your soul in many different ways. If you're depressed, you need to listen to a sad song. You can really work through your issues, your depressing issues, or I don't know what I'm trying to say, but through music, right? And let out a good cry. It might be the key to opening that floodgate, so you can just let it out and cry. Or, you know, you've been down and out, you need something to get you moving, and next thing you know, you're dancing when you throw on some disco. You need that, right? And that's why we have different genres in that. And I've kind of realized and understood all this once I got rid of my iPhone, because, and here's where I was suggesting you do this, where I didn't, and I learned the hard way. Get a CD player. if you're going to get rid of your smartphone, have a CD player first, because I have all kinds of lists of different CDs I need to get. I'm going to get an MP3 as well. That's on my Project 2001 to-do list that I haven't done yet, is to acquire a cute little red clip-on MP3 so I can listen to music again and have that as an active part of my everyday life. But even just CDs and a CD player, because then you have the radio as well. I find that that's something we don't really do anymore either. A lot of people don't do anyways. I wasn't doing, was utilizing like my Apple Music and that. And if you do your Apple Music, or listen through your Apple Music, I find, again, you're not, for me anyways, I felt that I wasn't really working to understand the music, or to listen to the lyrics, or to take in the meaning of the song, you know, and to let it get to that emotional part where I can connect with the song and go, oh my God, I love that band, I love that song, I'm gonna listen to more of them. I feel like with Apple Music and all that, kind of disconnects that. It just becomes so easy that you're like, I'll do another time, I'll go into another time. I used to have lists, long lists that would turn into one big email thread of to-dos, you know, look up this artist and do this and download that song. And I never would do it because it's just, oh, I'll do it later, and you just want to do what you're doing on your phone, so forget it. It's all on the internet anyways. But to have a physical song, to have a CD, you know, and to put that on intentionally, and to sit there in silence, or reading or drawing or writing, it's a different experience, I find. For me anyways, I just feel like it's a whole different experience. I mean, if you just go on Apple Music and go, shuffle, throw your phone, and start, I don't know. Well, see, but that's the thing, you don't usually throw the phone. I find a lot of times when I'd shuffle, next thing you know, I'm scrolling. And you can back out of the app, listen to your songs as you're Instagramming or Facebooking or sharing memes or whatever. But yeah, definitely have a CD player or an MP3 player, and definitely have your music ready, because it'll help with all this stuff I was mentioning, and this stuff that you got to work through. That is more of the internal and meaningful therapeutic parts of Project 2001. Is definitely working through the mental, emotional, the way you see it, your perception, your consciousness, your faith even, it's boundless. You realize there's a lot of things that get put on the back burner and kind of get thrown in the closet when you're distracted with the digital life. So it's a lot, and it's like rehab. It's exactly like rehab, or quitting smoking, like I said. There's a lot of withdrawal symptoms. There's a lot of high energy. There's a lot of high emotions going on that, you know, you may be a little weary about, or you can't control thoughts in your head, headaches, you know, it's or agitation and stuff like that. It's a very big deal. So yeah, I think I've covered basically all of it with Project 2001. It's basically a really good avenue for people that I think are old souls, and they're just feeling a sense of, you know, who am I? What am I doing? This isn't right. I need to do something different. Consider creating your own Project 2001. Or for you, it might be Project 1992, you know, or Project 1987, you know. There's nothing wrong with that. Go for as far back as you want, you know. There are couples out there that live their lives, I've seen on YouTube, every day like it's 1953, and they dress up in only authentic antiques, you know, dresses, and use the curlers from the time, and only read like newspapers and magazines from the time. They have a television from that time, and they will not go ahead of that time. They feel at peace, and they feel full in their heart and soul living in that time period. And sure, people are going to heckle and say, oh, well, that's stupid. They need to just grow up. It's all ignorance, and you don't have to listen to it. You know, you got to walk your own path and jive to your own style, and do whatever makes you happy, and whatever makes you feel guilt-free. You know, whatever makes you feel genuine to yourself. You got to do that, because you'll beat yourself up if you're otherwise. So yeah, Project 2001, it's endless. It could be so much different for you in the sense of the era you're going for, the era that you're a part of, that you miss, that you want to recapture. technologically wise, I mean, I couldn't imagine living, I mean, it's kind of a morbid thought, but for me, I noticed the cutoff around like 2015, 16 maybe, when high school ended, where, you know, when I was thrown into the real world and having to live on my own and stuff, that the technology was getting worse and worse and worse. For me, it was something I noticed, bad gut feelings and just all of that stuff. And then I think in 2019, I went a whole year with a flip phone. Changed my life. I'd never been more happier in my life. And yeah, I felt on the outside, you know, I felt like I wasn't as connected with people anymore, which was really sad. It made me realize that the social media aspect has such a heavy influence, which is an oxymoron because you go on there and it encourages you to share and to connect, but there is no sharing or connecting going on. So it's like, what an oxymoron. But yeah, for me, I just really couldn't imagine living a long, full life, you know, going into the 2030s, 40s, 50s, and not having this way of life. Like, I would be in a horrible state if at one point they cut out flip phones altogether, or you couldn't purchase an MP3 player, or you couldn't purchase even a CD. You know, that would really do a number on my heart, you know. It's like losing a family member. I wouldn't know how to adapt or connect with things, you know. And I mean, in my situation, like I've explained before, I had that big announcement video, the important message that I shared a few weeks ago about my health and how, you know, I'm not necessarily going to be living a long life anyways, and I'm kind of on borrowed time as it is. There's a sense of peace in that, and I know it sounds morbid. It's kind of a, you know, I'm probably making this face like, what? You know, I don't want to die. I think life is just incredible. I think there's so many elements to it that can be appreciated and encouraged and practiced each and every day of our lives if you don't have distractions in the way and stuff, and you can focus on those things. There's so many natural elements that the creators of the bee have given us to utilize in this world, with socialization and compassion and perseverance, respect, responsibility, integrity, all of the values and morals that are kind of forgotten about in this day and age. For me, it just feels like being an old soul and then connecting that with, you know, the kind of the circumstances that my health's in, it kind of adds all together. It follows the same path, and it's not really a shock or a surprise for me, because I'm very spiritual. I don't know if I've ever really gotten into that, but that's why we're getting Let's Talk back going, because we can talk. It's time to talk about these things. No more elephants in the room. But yeah, I feel like it's meant to be for me. Ever since I was a kid, I knew I wouldn't live a long life, and I was always okay with that. And then I think as time went on and I grew and I, you know, would go to therapy, or I would get into my faith and learn about my spirituality and practice those kind of spiritual practices in my everyday life, and just self-love and self-help, and that it all kind of started coming together. Pieces were coming together. Certain circumstances would come into my life, and I'd go, oh, I should have known. Why is this all adding up? There's no shock here. So, you know, with the connection of when I found I was an old soul, or kind of looked deeper into that in a more serious sense many moons ago now, it kind of correlated with the state of my health and why I needed to pick certain avenues that I did, and why I needed to, you know, just kind of accept it as my fate and stuff like that. Because again, I'm the penguin in South America. I'm hot when I want to be cold, and no one else there's no other penguins around to understand, go, hey, I get it. That's fine. Do your thing. I'll be here until you finally get back to cold weather. You know, like it's like an expiration. You know, I don't believe in death personally, so for me it's not so scary. I don't think, I truly myself believe that it's not the be all end all. We die and that's it, you know. to me, this is more like a practice playground. It's a world or realm of existence that were used as practice grounds, as a place for us to experiment with life and everything it has to offer. You know, there's so many lessons and experiences and relationships we need to have in this realm before we carry on. And I feel like if you just let life do what it needs to do with you and bring you where it needs to bring you, and you let things flow without controlling, then you're on the right path. And for me, that's led me to where I am now. But it all makes sense to me. You know, like I said earlier, I could not imagine myself in the 2040s, 2050s, 2060s. Are you kidding me? I already feel like the old man, you know, that's kind of like yelling at oh, that's not right. You kids are, I'm already there, you know. It's like and I'm only 25. So it's something that's hard for other people to understand. And I get that. It's not something you hear about every day, but I know it's valid for me, and I know it's my truth. It is what it is. And, I don't see it as tragic or sad or anything like that, because I've had a wonderful life. I've done many awesome things. I've met many crazy, cool, individual, unique people in my life. I've come along so many different places. I've lived in so many places. I've learned what love means. I've learned what deceit means. I've learned what appreciation means. I've learned what integrity, so many different things. I've come a long way, and I don't think that you ever stop learning, really. There's ever a stop, but I feel like the creators that be know when your time is, and that's not for us to decide. And when that happens, if something comes up, I mean, for me anyways, I'm not someone who likes to say, oh, well, no, I think I deserve a full life. I need to take control of that. I'm going to play God. No, that's just, for me and my logic and philosophy, it's just something that I don't think is right for me. Other people, you know, they might want to do everything they can to ensure they'll live a long life. For me, it's just, I'll take what I can get. Whatever you have brought towards me, I will accept it with open arms. I'll deal with it. I'll adapt to it. And if I'm really curious, I'll figure out why. You'll tell me why. I'll just be patient. And I understand why. So my life, now I'm getting into health and stuff, so I need to end the episode. The topic's getting swayed here. Ooh, I'm good for that. But when it comes to my life, and it's fate or destiny or whatever you want to call it, I know I'm not... There's an expiry date that I already feel coming on right now. You know what I mean? Like, thankfully I wasn't too late that I've made these transitions and have taken a step back and simplified my life to find some comfort anyways in the meantime. But it feels like within my soul and within everything. I've lived many times already. I've already lived so many lives on this planet, in this realm I was talking about. I've had it good. I've gotten all kinds of lives. I've lived many years. So if this one life out of so many has to be cut short, then that's okay. I'm not going to be selfish. I'm not going to demand more. I'm not going to fight the natural ways of laws of humanity, or just the natural way of things, and say, no, I'm going to find a man-made thing that'll just keep me going. You know, I'm a huge faith person. I'm dependent on a power greater than myself, or powers greater than myself. So I know I'm kind of rambling and I'm getting into all these analogies and stuff, but yeah, you know, for me it's great, and I guess that's where I'm saying is with Project 2001. I don't know how it'll work long term. For other people, if, like I'm saying, if you're watching and you're an old soul and you're really liking this idea and thinking, I'm gonna start writing that down right now, you know, and taking notes and making a checklist of the changes you need to make in your life. I don't know how it's gonna be long term as technology continues to get more and more separating and disconnecting, and as things become more and more digital, you know, and people just kind of start losing their touch with reality. I don't know how that's going to be, and I don't want to know. And I'm kind of grateful that I will never get to know that, but for those watching who are intrigued by this project of mine, personal project, and want to do the same thing, I wish you the best of luck. And I really hope and pray that it works for you long term, you know, as things get worse, and that you're able to stick by your guns and stick by your beliefs, you know, and your old soul ways, and not get pushed over to just join the herd, or you don't get convinced or overthrown to just join what everyone else is doing. You know, if your best friends told you to jump off a bridge, they're doing it, would you do it too? That's what I always say when it comes to old soul stuff. So yeah, fellow old souls out there, don't jump off the bridge. Don't do it just because everyone else is doing it. Stay strong. Stay strong. And I hope this project helps you long term and with your lives and your livelihood and your mental health, your spiritual health, your heart, your soul, and just doing what feels right for you. And like I said, there's so many modifications. There's just such a diverse project. Project 2001. It's whatever you want it to be, really. For me, it's exactly as it is. 2001. That's the last place I feel like we reached a peak in technology, and then everything after was just So, yeah. And DVDs too. DVDs. Forget about DVDs. There's just a beauty and a comfort and excitement of throwing in a DVD and curling into bed, and you know, if you fall asleep, the menu will just play over and over and stuff like that. We forget about these little things, you know? And now with streaming apps, it's so bland and simple, and I don't have to work for it. It's just click. Episode. Are you still watching? Episode. No, it's too easy. You're just giving it to me. This is not... Some people want that and they like that, and hey, you know what? Then it's your life. Do it and enjoy it. But I'm not okay with it. And if you're not either, then hey, here's the means, I guess, to try to take control over the avenues you're kind of being pushed along to, or encouraged or expected to follow. Step outside again. Step outside of yourself. Step outside of the norm and reevaluate and make a plan, make a project like me. Maybe it'll help you, and I hope it does. And if you do, hey, let me know in the comments below, or reach out on Instagram. You can definitely Instagram message me there, Twitter, or even Twitch now too. We're on Twitch live streaming. So if you find that it's working for you, or you have questions, or you have you're just wondering about it in general, certain aspects or jurisdictions of the project that I'm doing, and want to make one of your own and don't know where to start or where to go with it, or you know, whatever your question is, I'm more than willing and receptive and open to any questions you may have, inquiries, whatever it is. Maybe you just want to tell me how you feel and you're an old soul and you need someone to relate to. Come on down. TravyJsSpace is more than just playing games and having a good old time. Sometimes we need to accept we're in a bad place and look for help. And TravyJsSpace is here for you too. I will talk and we will share and we will help each other from one old soul to another. So anyways, I should end here because I've trailed on and now it's double the amount of 43-minute long episode. Wow. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you guys so much. I hope you enjoyed hearing about Project 2001. I thought I would share that today, and I really wasn't expecting to get into more deeper, you know, philosophical kind of conversations about life and its deeper meaning. But I guess I've just realized that, you know, Project 2001, just during this recording, that it means a lot more to me than just the physical, you know, technological stuff. It's a much deeper project, and it's doing a lot more than what I expected, or what I initially thought when I started it. Meant to be, right? The thought, the idea to create it just came out of nowhere. Thank you very much. And now it's become a lifestyle. So I'm very grateful and appreciative and at peace. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode of Let's Talk. And we will talk again very soon. You and I. See more of each other. Okay. Toodles for now. Ta-ta. Ciao. Till next time. Howdy, folks. Did you like that video? Well, then why don't you go ahead and give that thumbs up a smackaroo. Don't want to miss out on the next episode? Give the subscribe button some love and make sure to turn your notifications on. That way I can give you a bell ring, let you know dinner is served. Still need more to chew on? Take a bite of my new YouTube Instagram account at TravyJsSpace to keep up to date with the channel's inner workings and news of upcoming projects and episodes. Thanks for watching. See you next time.